Ryan Gravenberch, maybe the most talked about Liverpool midfielder of the season. We know across even AI contributors, there's a big range, let's call it, of opinions on Ryan Gravenberch and how he's been as a sixth this season. A lot of people calling him, I think the one thing that's unanimous that no one's going to debate, surprised everyone. No two ways about it, from where he started the season to what he is now. The big questions about Ryan Gravenberch are, I suppose, is he an elite six, which people will be screaming on both sides, me just saying those words, no two ways about it. And it seemed recently that there's maybe been a dip because this type of minutes is surely just alien to him in this type of campaign. But we have seen key contributions from Grav this season. Only a fool would deny anything else at all. I am intrigued to show, though, his win rates, the stats, because he seems such an important player. And even now, Barch, you've got to admit, people talk about Grav as, when you're resting players this season, it's like, you've got to leave out Virgil, you've got to leave out Salah, and you've got to leave out Grav for this one, because that's the spine. I'm intrigued what the stats are going to say here.
No, I think Grav has surprised everybody. I think my biggest issue with Grav, I saw him last season. I just saw a player who didn't put effort. And that was the number one thing as a fan for me in the stand. And I saw him three times in it, and he just wasn't. As soon as he lost the ball, he was like, that's not my problem anymore. And I was like, wow, he surely can't last this sort of thing. So to see what he's doing now is like, wow, where's this player come from? This is not the player that was throwing his hand up at Brighton when he lost the ball. It was just like, whoa, this is crazy. So, but he's at 2,303 touches. So non-surprisingly, because he's playing at base and he's played the most games, he started 37 stars. He has the most touches of all the midfield. He has the least penalty box touches because fundamentally that is not his job, right? He's there to mop up, stop counters, be the ball between goalkeeper, centre back, and him, and in a kind of diamond, and then he can go to the right place. Tight spaces. That's what he does. He's only taken 18 shots. Again, that's kind of what you would expect. I mean, these are kind of fab levels of stats, really. Shots on target 4, penalty box touches, box shots, so 5. Outside the box, he checks the ball. He doesn't, because he doesn't get in there. He's had one big chance, which I can't actually remember when that was, to be honest with you. That's my bad. He's only had 1.14 XG, and therefore his threat conversion is not great because he's creating a lot of threat, but he's got less than 20. So, but that's your 6, right? It's not with profile 6. How many times I've seen them? And they are two very different breeds, but fundamentally, not a lot of them give you a lot of goals. No. That's just the fact of the matter, is because that's not their role. His pass success, 89%, is one of the highest ones, apart from CJ, who's a bit of a unicorn in that sense. But again, that's because you should be doing the ticking over. You should be doing the kind of, I'm just going to move it here. His long pass is one of the lowest, apart from Curtis, so 4.6 long ball rate. So that's low. Okay. What is it like when he starts? When he starts, Liverpool win in 1,000 games 80%. I mean, we can run out to 81% of the time, which is bang on what we are as a season. That isn't a big shock because he's played the majority of games, right? Yeah. The only ones in here that would tick that over, I think he didn't play Cup Champions League and he didn't play League Cup and FA Cup, right? So that'd be the only reason. In terms of what we concede, he's 30 goals when he's playing, conceding wise, and we score 78. Okay. Which, when you put that into numbers, is 0.18 conceded a game and 2.1 scored a game, which is in and around. It's the same defensively as Mac, and just a nudge better attacking wise than Mac. So that's pretty good with Grav. We only draw 2.9% of games with Grav, which is the lowest out of all of them. So he's kind of a win it or not type. But where's he passed from? This won't be a shock to anyone because he's playing the 6. So largely the same position, both halves. Yeah, he's the base. That's what it should be. He is involved in the greatest range of passing changes though, which again, if you think about it, he's the short, sharp stuff, he's the medium level stuff, and then he's the part of the recycling to kill the game at the end. All right, so that is kind of where you want it to be. In terms of his zone 14 passes, he makes a few into the area. These are not high volume, so and he hasn't got a particular dominance of side. His zone 14 is probably the highest one, but that'll be when we've crunched the play all the way up and he's making a pass into there, normally into Dom's feet, which we can confirm if we go on the next page, which is our passing combinations. So we look at Grav's passing combinations. His highest one is to Trent. Virgil, again, not a big shock. Dom, 135, again, pretty high. The other fullback is pretty high, and Mac, his mate next to him, is a 6. So these are all players that would be in that back quarter of the team, should we say. In terms of forward, he'll go into Diaz, only made 58 passes, Mo 129, which again is what you'd expect, and then Dom when he's playing further forward. All in the 90s, very pass rate between them. Highest amount of threat, no shock. Mo Salah, 0.7. He's correct by going into him, right? I mean, these are things sometimes you think, it's going to be him, isn't it? Again, not a big shock. This is effectively covering 3x3 grid for his on and off the ball. So it doesn't really go very high. It doesn't go too deep because he will annoy the centre half when he's that deep. So that's where he is on and off the ball. How quick if I miss anything along here? Don't have dual rate at 46% for the season, which is probably on the low side. Aerials at 63, again, probably on the low side. If we're talking about Elite 6. So one of the reasons Fab got played at centre half because his aerial rate was very good, right? And his dual rate was supreme in midfield. So that just gives you a little bit of indicator that there are some elements maybe he still needs to pick up on. Pass rate, very, very good. And penalty box touches is the lowest out of all of them, but that's what you expect. Threat, he doesn't create that much. I just remember off the top of my head the other day. They kind of doesn't really change. Deeper areas, central areas, that's where he's looking to go. He's looking to give it to players in the zones to do stuff. Off the ball, deep and to the right, which is, again, that's one of his roles, right? We normally double bank the right-hand side because opposition want to attack Trent. So we supplement that by either Grav or Dom or both going in there to make sure that doesn't happen. And that's where Grav comes into being. In terms of his shots, top of my head, he's not scored. His shot quality is 0.06, which is very, very low. And his best period for creating threat and XG is 61 to 75, when the game's largely broken. So remember he's done clip balls over the top for Mo and runners. That's kind of where he's moving into, right? When the game is tight, they're all very, very low. So it's more when he's got a bit of a broken game in front of him. But so I think Grab's had a surprise everybody, myself included. I'm happy to admit that I didn't see this coming at all. And this is one of the reasons why we are marching towards the title, is because he's managed to turn up and beat 6 for us. If he hadn't done this, I don't think it would be where we are, because we didn't sign 6, and Endo is not going to give you this level of output.
No.
Turns to answer your question, is he elite? I still think there are times his dual rate's not high, it's not consistently in a high level, and his aerials are not particularly high. I don't know, when I say 2 metrics, fair. But I think there's also instances in the last period of games where his turn out of trouble, people have worked that out, so they stopped it, and therefore he couldn't. You know, the one where he drops the shoulder and flips it and goes the other way. So the 5-game block before the previous one, they worked that out. So he then was unable to get the ball forward. So if he's going to develop into a 6 for me, he needs to find other ways to keep being an option and moving around. There's many, many things he's improved upon, but he's still doesn't have that danger sense in terms of, oh, this might happen, so I need to be in this area. He still can be a bit reactive. He has improved massively. And I was just having a look on FBrave to see where he was compared with. We always talk this box here about, is he blocking, is he intercepting, is he tackling? Depends on what he is. Now, he's intercepting, which means he is trying to nip it, trying to stop a ball that's already in travelling, going into a player. A block would be more of a block in a passing lane, interception coming to that. So this is probably where he'd get a bit higher. But the aerial is one, that's 33 percentile. That's, even for a midfielder, that's quite low, if I'm being honest with you. Tackles is a weird metric. It doesn't always measure what you think it is. So I'm not that worried about that. But yeah, I quite like either blocks to go up or clearance. Just one of the other metrics to come a bit more green, if you like. I would suggest it's more of a lead 6. And you can look down here about where he is. So if you compare him, if that's going to work, I think it might do. Right. So if we're comparing the guy, we need him all. Caicedo, he's still on the ball. Yeah, fine. Ryan probably outdoes him, but if you look at here, passes attempted, he outdoes it. Shot ground actions, Caicedo does more. Assists, he's got more. Non-penalty goals, blocks. Just said about that. He's higher. Tackles and interceptions combined, he's higher than Rav because grabs, tackles are lower. Percentage of dribblers tackled, so that's a 1v1 situation. Moses is higher, and touches, Moses is higher. So, and I'm not saying Moses is like an elite 6, but he is the 6 we need a ball, right? And if you look at what I was saying to you about these 3 bars here, he's in the high 80s and 90s, right? So I think Grab has made big strides. Whether he is an elite 6, I'm not quite sure he's there yet. Can he get there? That's a question for the coaching staff doing what they're seeing every day. I think we've done the show many, many times, and I still think he could do with having we could do with having an option of another more defensive orientated 6. But the problem with that is they've still got to be able to pass the football. So they've still got to be able to have over 85% pass rate. That's what our midfield is demanding. So, yeah, I think Ryan's gone a long way. We wouldn't be where we are without him stepping up and making that performance. 100% sure of that. It would be useful for him to get some help next season because I don't think he'd be able to sustain the level of minutes he's going to be doing next year. That's a crazy amount of minutes we've asked him to do this year already. So, he's come a long way. I'm not quite sure he's an elite 6 yet.
It's funny, isn't it? Because people will take this argument different ways. So let's just be clear. A lot of his metrics are brilliant, as we said. The biggest surprise of the season, I know you can't put a stat on that, but how far he's advanced. An 81% win rate, which is in line with the team, shows how important he is. When you look at the goals, similar to Mac, we scored 2.1. I think you said, wasn't it? And we concede 0.8. Very similar to McAllister. And a lot of people put him as a pair. Very much, let's say, in terms of passing, the links, the change, he is crucial to this side. So you cannot debate that. What you also can't debate, people, is a 6 that's got a dual rate around 50%. What you also can't debate, people, is a 6 that has an aerials below 65. And as we talk, if we're going to say elite, we can put it on that fab basis because that's what we had back in the day. And it's just a little bit short. It's fair to say that in that regard. So, yeah, the defensive side probably comes into it. And again, this is hard to say, Barts, isn't it? But as you mentioned recently, he looked tired. And just in a recent run of games, they started to work out what he did, the drop of the shoulder. That combo of being tired, teams working it out, that probably plays into the dip recently, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And that's where I think having another midfielder, which you and I and others have said all season long, we could have done with another starting level midfielder. We've got 4, and we could have done with a 5th because it just would have meant you could have managed Ryan a bit better. He's played the most minutes, I think, off the top of my head. He started the most games. he's probably the most it's increased the amount of minutes he's played. So as much as we can criticise him for doing this, it's just a fact. He would have been fatigued. He would have been tired because he's never done this amount of minutes. He hasn't played this level of football for 3 seasons. Right, with us, with Bayern, he didn't come anywhere near that for the last 3. This is his season where he's gone back to his Ajax level and he's playing a different role. So it's totally understandable. But going forward as a football club, we might want to think about having another option in midfield.